Is it the right time to buy a house? I'm going to tell you the 3 things that you need to consider to answer your question, is it the right time to buy a house? Hi, I'm Randy Ora, local realtor here in Laguna Niguel. Been doing this for about 27 years and love what I do. We need to talk about 3 considerations or questions that you need to ask and have a little discussion about with regards to, is it the right time to buy a house? Let's start with question number 1 or consideration number 1. In the industry, we have a real cold way of addressing this, and we call it motivation. That's the business side. On the consumer side, what I would ask you to consider is, do you need or do you want to buy a home? That's what we call motivation. If the need or the want, the desire or the have to is strong enough, then that should be the first question asked and answered yes or no. Do you need to move closer to the grandkids? Do you want to downsize? Is the 2-story home no longer the right property? An interesting statistic I came upon was 51%. That's over half of the people that purchased their home are realizing that they bought the wrong home for where they are today. 50% of the people say that the home doesn't currently fit. So do you need or do you want to move? That would be the first consideration. Consideration number 2. Right now we're talking about prices. Are prices going up? Are prices going down? Are they level? Is the market going to crash? Let me quote one of the most respected institutions with regards to finance, and that's Goldman Sachs. And what they are currently saying right now is that prices are likely to drop somewhere between 5 and 10% from peak to trough, from the highest to the lowest. I believe in my marketplace and most marketplaces across the United States, the peak was somewhere around February, March, April of this year. That's price of property, price per square foot, multiple offers, over asking price, that insanity that we peaked after 2.5 years or so of buyer demand at low interest rates and the perfect scenario of sellers getting the most amount of money for their property. I believed we peaked somewhere February, March, or April of 2022. We've been in this slight decline for about 5, 6, or 7 months. Goldman Sachs is predicting a total drop from peak to trough of 5 to 10%, where most experts are landing on 7.8%. Goldman Sachs also says that this is going to take longer than expected and will probably trough or bottom out sometime around March of 2024. That's about 1.5 years from now. So my question with a lot of my clients that are asking me, is it the right time to buy? Is it worth living in the wrong home or not the perfect home right now for another maybe 1.5 years or 2, where we hit bottom somewhere between 5 and 10%? If you're looking at this strictly from investment or your place to live, is it really worth that time in your home that you're not perfect in for that long a time for that little of an adjustment? And you have to come to that decision. For many people, the answer is no, it's not worth waiting. It's not going to be that significant, and it's going to take a long time to get there, and then we're going to rise back up. And most people plan to be in the home this point in time, but that side of the trough, if that makes sense. So if it's going to take us 1.5 years, and we're going to build, because every real estate cycle lasts around 2 to 3 years downtime and about 7 to 10 years uptime. That's the average historically as we look back in history, where real estate ebb and flow. We always seem to adjust. We adjust down for a period of a couple, 3 years. We adjust up for a period of 7 to 10, and then it repeats itself, but always in that upward direction over the long term. So is it really worth staying put in the home that doesn't fit you for that long a period of time, where you're going to plan to be in it on the upside of value from where we are today? Most people are deciding, no, it's not the right thing to do. All right, the third question to ask is, right now interest rates are quite high. In 20 and 21, we averaged about 2.8% on average for mortgage rates. That's a very low and artificially established interest rate to fuel the residential market and do what was intended to do, was get people to buy a lot of homes and get into home mortgages. In order to curb inflation, our government believes the right thing to do is to raise the Fed rate, which reflects in interest rate, because you have to understand they're slightly different. And ultimately, where we traveled in 2021 being at 2.8%, going and moving into 2022, we have now averaged for this entire year, coming from that very low sub 3% range up to a peak of over 7, or let's just say 7%. We have now averaged this year 5.8% in interest rates. And that's a tough pill to swallow, but there are some solutions. We believe interest rates are still going to remain relatively high into next year. They have adjusted down most recently. So we are currently mid-November 2022, and we have enjoyed about 1 point to 3/4 of a point relaxation to around 6% or low 6% for 30-year fixed mortgages currently. That's a great move, and we're enjoying that with a little flurry of buyer business right now because interest rates have ratcheted down. But there are two strategies that you could consider if you do decide to purchase, if the motivation is right, if you need or want to, and you have determined that you don't want to stay in the wrong home for that period of time. Let's do it now. There are two solutions to interest rates. One very common one is seller buy downs, where the seller actually contributes, because we have some leverage in this market. We're not experiencing the crazy overbidding and multiple offers. Sellers are more motivated. We can find deals in the marketplace right now. So is the seller motivated sufficiently enough so that we can negotiate for the seller, to participate in what's called a buyer interest rate buy down, or a seller buy down, let's put it on them, where they help and assist financially in driving your interest rate down. That's strategy number one. Strategy number two is variable rates fixed for 5, 7, or 10 years, when we in the industry believe, yes, at some point in time in those next years, interest rates are going to come down naturally, where we can get more competitive 30-year fixed mortgages. So is the variable rate fixed for 5, 7, or 10 years that make the interest rate much more palatable for the period of time that we need to adjust, and answer the question, do you need or want to move, not wait that long in time, and help and assist and leverage down that interest rate, because we do believe it will relax and become a little bit more affordable. So those are the three questions that I help counsel buyers through. So if you like the content, please like, please subscribe, please comment. If you want notifications of future real estate information, I will be broadcasting regularly, so hit that little notification bell. My information is on the screen. Please email me, please call me. I would love to have a discussion with you about actually buying a home in my marketplace, Laguna Niguel and all surrounding cities in South Orange County, California. Randy Ora, changing lives, one home at a time.